Failure, they say, is an orphan. Success has many parents, but it also has many forms. And some of the most celebrated, accomplished people achieve success because of the unconventional ways they pursue their passions. A new book features insights from people as diverse as Jane Goodall, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Bill Gates. It is called The Third Door, the wild quest to uncover how the world's most successful people launched their careers. And author Alex Banayan joins us now. Alex, welcome to Chicago Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have had some unusual experiences connecting with some of these celebs. First of all, or not celebs, but successful people. Yeah. First of all, define what is the third door?
So over the past 7 years, what I've realized is that every single person I interviewed treats life and business and success the exact same way. And the analogy that came to me is that it's sort of like getting into a nightclub. There's always 3 ways in. There's the first door, the main entrance, where the line curves around the block. That's where 99% of people wait around hoping to get in. And then there's the second door, the VIP entrance, where the billionaires and celebrities go through. And school and society have this way of making us feel like those are the only 2 ways in. You're either born into it or you wait your turn like everybody else. But what I learned is that there's always the third door, and it's the entrance where you jump out of line, run down the alley, bang on the door 100 times, crack open the window, go through the kitchen. There's always a way in. And it doesn't matter if that's how Gates sold his first piece of software or how Spielberg became the youngest director in Hollywood history. They all took the third door.
Well, let's talk about Spielberg since you mentioned it. I had no idea how he got his foot in the door, but go ahead and tell the story.
It's a wild story, and it's funny that Spielberg did it when he was right around my age. He was 19 years old.
And are you 19?
I was when I was writing this book. So I started the book when I was 18, and when I was 19 is really when I got deep into Spielberg's story. And I realized the lore is phenomenal because he went on a tour bus at Universal Studios, rode the tour, jumped off the bus, hid in a bathroom, waited for the bus to drive away, and started walking around the lot. And once he was on the lot, he met a man named Chuck Silvers who wrote him a 3-day pass. Spielberg went for 3 days, and on the 4th day, he came in a suit, carrying his dad's briefcase, walked up to the security gate and said, "Hey, Scotty!" And the guard just waved back, and he walked right through. And he spent months on the lot, eventually making his way to getting signed as the youngest director in Hollywood history.
And he did that by having an in-person, by connecting with somebody in the inside. Lady Gaga also did something very interesting in getting her name out there and getting booked at clubs. Tell the story of what she did.
So she was a waitress in New York City at the time, trying to make money while trying to launch her career. And she had a problem where she didn't have a manager, so when she was booking clubs, you know, they would try to book her for 6 p.m. slots and try to, you know, push her to the sidelines. So she would call these nightclubs up and change her voice and go, "This is Lady Gaga's manager, and she only performs at 10 p.m." And those kinds of things really what launched her career. And the lesson I learned is that it's not about waiting and choosing for a record label or a manager to choose you. It's about choosing yourself.
And one of the people who made that kind of a choice was Warren Buffett, because he also took an initial step to get his start in what eventually became, you know, what we know of his success to be. What did he do?
So one of my favorite things about Warren Buffett is that everybody knows he's a long-term value investor with businesses. He's also the same with his career. And one of the things that I think is brilliant about him is that when he graduated with his MBA, instead of doing what everybody else did, which is get the, you know, biggest job they can from a corporation, he decided to find the person who he knew would break his career. Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing. And Buffett offered to work for free, but Graham still said no. And Buffett, in his own words, pestered Graham for 2 years until he finally got the job. Buffett didn't even ask if there was a salary, flew out there, and eventually, when Graham closed down his firm, Buffett started his own, and Graham referred all his clients to Buffett.
So give me an idea of the kinds of things where you had to take the third door to get to some of these folks who initially, many of whom really didn't want to give you their time.
Yeah, to my surprise, you know, Bill Gates doesn't just wait around for 18-year-olds to call him up. And, you know, it was
okay, so how did you get the interview with Bill Gates?
So Gates was a 2-year adventure where people from Microsoft and all over, had to call in to Gates' chief of staff until I finally got that in. But what's funny is that I got the advice on how to get to Gates from Larry King, who I had to chase through a grocery store to get that interview.
What was the advice Larry King gave you?
Larry King told me something remarkable. He said, the thing young people forget is that they look at the internet and they think the world's changed. Nothing's changed. Just the transmission changed. Human nature is the exact same. And if you're sending someone an email or if you're calling them, there's no connection there. It's only when you look in someone's eyes can they tell if you're sincere, and only then will they try to help you.
You mentioned Bill Gates because he and his partner Paul Allen had a discussion once upon a time, and how that discussion ended had a big impact on what happened to Microsoft. What was that discussion?
Well, right when they were deciding how to sell their first piece of software, to my surprise, Bill Gates was terrified to pick up the phone and call the CEO of MITS, the company that created the Altair mini computer. So Bill and Paul had a debate of who would call, and they had a very simple logic. Bill would call, but say he's Paul. So, Bill picks up the phone and pretends to be Paul Allen, and lowers his voice and makes the pitch, and the CEO of MITS says yes. They only had one problem. They didn't actually have any software. So they spend the next 8 weeks, pulling all-nighters until they finally have the software ready, and then they have their next big decision. Who's going to go out and make the pitch? Because the company was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And their logic, again, was very simple. Paul should go. He has a beard. So Paul goes out, makes the pitch, loads the software, and on the spot it works, and that's how they sold their first piece of software.
Oh, one of the things you point out in your book is how you yourself generated the funding so you could take this project, because at the time you were a freshman in college, and it has to do with The Price is Right. Tell the story of how you made this money on The Price is Right so you could launch this project.
So I had a problem of my own, which is, I thought the easy part would be calling up Bill Gates and doing the interview. That I thought would be, the shoo-in. The hard part I figured was getting the money to fund the journey, because I was buried in tuition payments, I was all out of bar mitzvah cash, so there had to be a way to get some quick money. So 2 nights before finals, I found tickets to The Price is Right. And I'd never seen a full episode of the show before, but I thought, how hard could it be? So I pulled an all-nighter, but I didn't study for finals. I studied how to hack The Price is Right. I go on the show the next day and do this ridiculous strategy and end up winning the whole showcase showdown, winning a sailboat, selling the sailboat, and that's how I funded the book.
So there you are on The Price is Right. So how much money did you wind up generating as a result of this venture?
So I sold the sailboat for $17,000, which for a college freshman is $1 million.
Oh yeah, you had to pay taxes on it, but obviously you were in a lower tax bracket, so maybe
Exactly.
it didn't hit you as much. What do you want viewers, readers to take away from your book?
What I've learned is that you can pack in as many tools and lessons in the world, and sometimes people's lives can still feel stuck. But if you change what someone believes is possible, they'll never be the same. And that's really the soul of this book. It's about changing what people believe is possible, because when you do that, you change what becomes possible.
Alex, thank you so much. Fun book to read.
Thank you very much.
Again, Alex Banayan's new book is The Third Door, The Wild Quest to Uncover How the World's Most Successful People Launched Their Careers. And you can read an excerpt on our website.